Snow continues to fly across the area, and we're going to hold on to it as we go through the overnight and into the first part of the day tomorrow. Then we switch from wintry weather to the possibility of some flooding. We'll track all of it coming up.
Drivers stuck again in Rockcastle County. Crashes and slide-offs caused state police to shut down part of Interstate 75. We'll have the latest on the closure. And road crews in Lexington are trying to clear streets. Some, though, may have to wait.
The big thing is be patient.
We'll get an update on road conditions in Lexington.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
The snow is here. You're watching WKYT. I'm Kristen Kennedy. Snowfall really started picking up this afternoon, and we are tracking heavier snowfall tonight. That is why our WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues, and we begin with weather team coverage. We've got both WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey and Meteorologist Jim Caldwell in tonight.
Yep, here we go again for a lot of folks out there. Winter storm number 2 for the past 3 weeks. This one, though, Jim, nothing like its predecessor a few weeks ago. Doesn't mean we're not getting a high-impact event out there, though.
Oh, I mean, these roads, they're deteriorating quickly,
yeah.
So naturally it's going to be a bit of a mess out there.
Exactly right. Arctic air in place, ground frozen, road temperatures below the freezing mark, and that is leading to all kinds of travel troubles. We'll get into that in a moment. Let's talk about what's going on right now. I know it's Valentine's Day, but you don't want to see pink on this particular map. That shows where we have a winter storm warning that is out for areas along and south now of Interstate 64. These are areas that have already picked up several inches of snow. We're getting reports of 5, 6, 7, even an 8-inch report coming out of areas not too far away from the Lake Cumberland area. So that winter storm warning will carry us through the evening. I think areas north of that, too, are going to pick up some 4-inch amounts before all of this wraps up. Defender Radar Network, snow. It is becoming heavy right now across parts of the Interstate 64 corridor, right on into the Lexington Bluegrass region, downtown Lexington right now. We're getting the heaviest snows we've had so far on the day, and we've got a lot more of that is backed up to our west all the way through Franklin County, Lawrenceburg, back into the Shelbyville area. Southern Kentucky, boy, this has been the prime hot spot so far for snow. Again, greater than 5 and 6 inch amounts coming out of parts of south central Kentucky. And all of this continues to work its way from southwest to northeast. We've been highlighting Southern Kentucky for the greatest snowfall potential. Some areas could push 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. Those amounts will go down a little bit the farther north that we go. But again, we've got a pocket of 3 to 6 showing up here along and north of Interstate 64. We mentioned the road conditions out there. And Jim, frozen ground, snow coming in, Arctic air in place. That's a couple of the ingredients you need to really get terrible roads.
Yeah, it's going to make for a bit of a mess out there, especially when you throw that kind of total out there, too. Got a little skiff of snow this morning that just kind of added that one little extra layer to make it more of a mess out there tonight. And you can see on all of our cams, we've got 9 of them up. You can see that it is a mess in any location. You can even barely see what's going on at the intersection there in Frankfort. But I can tell you one thing, the road is covered. Look along the Mountain Parkway there around Campton. You can see 1 lane of traffic. So you're talking about the folks that are headed, that's going to be toward the Lexington area. It's down to 1 lane on each side. So we're not running a true 4-lane there. London, bit of a mess as well as it has been for a better part of the day. The reason being because we've had to deal with it longer. We barely can see outside. And let me tell you what's helping us. The fact that it is snowing, and there's a lot on the ground because we're getting that brightness from the white. It's 21 degrees right now in Lexington with a feels-like temperature of 11. So we've got the cold air element. Then we switch things up, Chris, and we go into this mode. Flood watch potential and heavy rains coming on the back side of this, or the southern side, I should say, as it starts to work its way into the area. But that's not the only issue or your concern either, right?
Yeah, this is kind of the second aspect that we're going to watch with this winter storm. This is the first round that is coming through today and into tonight. The round coming tomorrow suggests, at least the models are saying, temperatures late tonight and tomorrow morning will head toward freezing and a little above. And they're putting down a whole lot of moisture tomorrow into tomorrow night. If it is all rain, you got to watch for flooding across parts of the area. Flood watch is out for all the counties in green. If it is all rain, you'll see a lot more counties added to this. Look at one computer model's worth of precipitation. Some of it in snow, some of it in rain form. We melt whatever is out there down in terms of what is falling from the sky, and this is what it adds up to in the liquid form. Greater than 3-inch amounts showing up across parts of the area. If that is the case and it's all rain, you're going to have substantial flooding. into parts of the area. The cause for concern is in a situation like this, I've seen it many times before, when you get a heavy pocket of precipitation, it pulls down colder air, and somewhere across central Kentucky, second half of tomorrow and into tomorrow night, I think we're going to have a band of moderate to heavy snow trying to set up at least a narrow corridor. So, Kristen, short term, it's all about the winter storm that is impacting the area tonight. We go into tomorrow, it could take on several forms, including the possibility of flooding, and Jim will be back here in a few minutes to update you on that.
Thank you. We are tracking a developing story out of Rockcastle County on Interstate 75. State police say there are several crashes and slide-offs blocking part of the interstate near Mount Vernon. The southbound lanes near mile marker 62 are closed. State police aren't sure how long it'll take to get traffic moving again. WKYT's Hillary Thornton is there with a close-up look at the crash that caused the shutdown.
Many roads in the area are now slick and snow covered, including heavily traveled Interstate 75, which you can see out here behind me. The snow began piling up in a hurry in Madison and Rockcastle counties. The late afternoon snowfall leading to hazardous driving conditions, especially along Interstate 75. Just before 3 o'clock this afternoon, several crashes happened along the southbound lanes in Rockcastle County just before the Renfro Valley exit around mile marker 62. Also, several vehicles becoming stuck in the roadway. At this point, there's no word on how many vehicles are involved or the extent of any injuries. Crews are working hard to try and get the southbound lanes back open, especially as that traffic begins backing up across the county line where we are here in Madison County. The last word from state police is that they hope to have that roadway back open by around 7 o'clock this evening. In Madison County, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Here in Lexington, snow is now covering the roads. Salt trucks have been out since this morning preparing for this winter storm. WKYT's Monique Blair caught up with road crews this afternoon. She joins us live in Lexington. Monique, what do those roads look like right now?
Hi, Kristen. Well, as you can see, the snow is definitely sticking out here. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I'm in a Lexington neighborhood off Winchester Road, and this road is completely covered. Now, we have seen several cars drive by here in probably the past hour, and although they are driving very slow, they seem to be getting through pretty well right now. Now, Lexington Streets and Roads crews are out right now in full force, working to clear the roads as fast as possible. The last significant snowstorm in late January left behind inches of snow in the double digits in a relatively short period of time. This snow event is not expected to be quite as intense, so depending on how much snow does fall will determine which roads are plowed. So if we get less than 5 inches during this snow event, there is a chance some of these residential streets won't be salted or plowed.
The snow and ice control plan, what we would call service level 1, which would be a typical snow of up to 5 inches. The ranked roads 1 through 4 would get done. Once we hit that 5-inch level, then we would start working on neighborhood collectors that you typically would not see treatment on.
Now, in addition to being patient, crews really ask that if you can, stay inside because, of course, the less cars that are on the road, the more efficient these crews can work to treat and plow these streets. I'm reporting live in Lexington. Monique Blair, WKYT.
Monique, thank you. Remember, you can stay on top of the snowfall and the traffic with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. You can download it for free in the app or Google Play stores. Deputies in Scott County think weather may have caused a deadly crash earlier today on Interstate 75 near mile marker 133. Deputies say a woman crashed her car. WKYT's Sean Moody is in Scott County where they're trying to figure out what caused that deadly crash.
Scott County Sheriff's deputies said the crash happened right around 10 a.m. in the southbound lanes of I-75 near the 133 mile marker.
They began rotating. They ran off the road down a steep embankment and struck a tree.
The woman who was driving the car died. Deputies said no one else was inside. They spent a couple of hours cleaning up and trying to figure out what led to the accident. There was snow in the area at the time, but they can't say for sure whether that's what made the driver lose control.
We have no clue. We can't say weather was a factor. The roadway was wet. Obviously, it's freezing conditions, but we haven't had any other accidents on this stretch of roadway today to indicate that there was ice or anything like that.
The deputy said they're still trying to figure out exactly why that driver lost control. He said this stretch of interstate isn't bad, but they do tend to see wrecks here when the weather gets bad.
In the winter, we typically get a lot of wrecks between the 141 and the 129, just based upon the weather conditions up here, and there are a couple of curves in the interstate. But as a whole, it's no worse a stretch of road than any other part of the interstate.
In Scott County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
The deputy said the driver was wearing a seatbelt. The coroner says the sheriff is waiting to release her name. The snow and cold temperatures this morning caused problems for firefighters in Scott County. Crews went out to a home on Josephine Road around 9:30 this morning. Firefighters had trouble putting out the flames. WKYT's Victor Puente is talking to crews about the problems they ran into.
It wasn't just the fire these crews were having to fight, it was also the cold. The water they were spraying was quickly turning to ice, and a firefighter had to be pulled from the home after part of a ceiling fell on him. Firefighters say that fire was going well before they arrived at this home on Josephine Road.
And they had fire showing through the roof.
The people who lived there made it out before crews arrived. The heavy smoke made visibility an issue. So did the fire spreading to floor joists in the basement.
Going into the structure, we knew that we had weakened floors, but we account for that.
They also had freezing temperatures to navigate. The home is well off the road and required a lot of water.
We had a long driveway to deal with.
They almost had another emergency when one of their own cried out for help.
Declared a mayday and said the ceiling had fallen on him.
A rapid intervention team was able to help him lift that debris and make it out of the home.
And they were able to extricate and get him out in a relatively short period of time.
He was given oxygen by paramedics and went back to fighting the fire.
One of the things that nobody in this business wants to hear is when somebody declares a mayday, and thankfully we're able to get him out very quickly with the help of his other crew members, and he was fine.
A chief said one of his firefighters estimates they had to lay at least 800 feet of line to make it to that home. He said all of those hoses will have to be taken back to the fire station to thaw out before they can be put back on trucks. In Scott County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The homeowners told firefighters the fire started near their wood-burning stove.